What is a movement? Why do they start and why do they end? Today, we will explore Marcus Garvey's Back to Africa movement. My name is Kathy Lee, and welcome to Hidden Footprints.
Take me back to Africa. Said a pretty, pretty Africa. It is the land of our fathers. It is the land where we belong. Telling you again what I say. Wow, right now. Take me back to Africa. Said a pretty, pretty Africa. It is the land of our fathers.
Marcus Garvey was born in St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica in 1887. As a young man in his 20s, Garvey witnesses firsthand the racism faced by people of color in his travels through Central and South America, and also in England and Europe. He was determined to change the world African people were confined to live in. This world was full of economic exploitation, imperialistic European colonialism, and unprecedented racism backed up by science and anthropological studies. But what did Garvey's world look like? Garvey saw that the entire world had been carved up, divided, and colonized by European countries in order to reap the benefits of cheap labor and control the resources of these nations. Names of countries and regions were changed to reflect this. This was especially true of the continent of Africa. Garvey asked, and rightly so, two questions. Where is the black man's government? Where is his president, his country, his men of big affairs? He concluded, I could not find them, and he was determined to alter this reality through the establishment of his economical and spiritual Back to Africa movement through his creation of UNIA and the ACL. You see, he decided that it was time to take his fight for the black man to new heights with a new urgency. And this ideology became known as Black nationalism, a powerful philosophy which stuns America and the world in 1917. However, Garvey's place in history was, and probably is still seen by many in the same light as John Brown, a fanatic with a pipe dream. Just check out this scene from the film Cotton Comes to Harlem, and you can certainly see what I mean.
He said, D, I want you to build a block and sail my people home. And there she is, Black Beauty. Are you black enough to hear me? Amen.
Garvey's Back to Africa movement was more of a figurative or spiritual journey. He believed that black was beautiful and that if the black man could reconnect to his African roots, trust in a God that looked like him, become self-reliant again, then he could reclaim his place in the world and control his own destiny.
Now from this premise followed the equality of all men and the brotherhood of all men. The biblical injunction of Acts 17:26 reminds us that he created of one blood all nations of men that dwell on the face of the earth. I was most interested in brotherhood within his own race, because if Negroes are created in God's image and Negroes are black, then God must in some sense be black.
What I find fascinating about Garvey is how much this man accomplished during the times in which he lived. Think about it. You have the Great Migration, World War I, the Russian and Irish revolutions, and the Harlem Renaissance all going on at the same time. So how does he motivate thousands of blacks to join his movement? Well, how would you feel if you were a soldier in a segregated unit fighting a war in Europe for someone else's freedom and return home to lynching, no jobs, discrimination? Ask the Harlem Hellfighters. How would you fight Jim Crow, sharecropping, lack of voting rights, poor schools, and the list can go on and on? Just ask your grandparents, for example, about the race riots, like the one in Rosewood and Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you will find your answer. Garvey's movement becomes destined to be the largest black organization in history because its ideology of black self-reliance and pride spreads into major cities in America and across the world. Even Philadelphia gets into the act. In fact, next to New York, Philadelphia, our city, had one of the largest followings of the Garvey movement. And believe it or not, it still exists and is going strong in Philadelphia today. Garvey's Unia and ACL still exist in our city today. Just take a walk like I did to Cecil B. Moore and 16th, or travel to 57th and West Girard Avenues, where the Garvey Foundation still meet, keeping his vision alive. Garvey even had a newspaper called The Negro World, which was published weekly. However, I am still in awe of his Black Star Line, a shipping company created to open trade with Africa and the world. In other words, it was commercially oriented.
Get on board, countryman, get on board, ladies and none, get on board, countryman, wine home on the Black Star Line, wine home on the Black Star Line.
Run and owned by blacks. The Black Star Line was about racial and nautical pride. Garvey even created a song to go along with this Black Star Line, and he sold shares to convince other blacks that black people were capable of owning and managing major business ventures. This shipping company raised over $600,000 before collapsing in 1922. He also started the Negro Factories Corporation, which developed grocery stores, restaurants, laundries, a moving van fleet, and a publishing house. Now we all know that when a brother is doing great things, there are those who decide that this cannot be. And Garvey's success in mobilizing blacks earned him the suspicion of the U.S. government, and it came under attack from many different directions. J. Edgar Hoover launches his assault, but Garvey stood his ground. Garvey did not only battle with white America, he also battled with members of black America like W.E.B. Du Bois, who felt that the Back to Africa program and black nationalism was diverting attention from the fight for justice here in America and disrupting its course. Was Garvey's Back to Africa movement the first of its kind? The answer is no. All captured Africans on board slave ships like the Amistad fought to return home. Before Amistad, there was Paul Cuffey, the 18th century African who tried unsuccessfully to get the support of Philadelphians like Allen and Jones to sail back to Sierra Leone. Don't forget about the colonization societies led by powerful whites in government who were involved in sending blacks back to Africa. Remember Liberia, a country that was resettled by African Americans returning home? Check it out. In closing, Garvey predicted in 1937 that our chance will come when the smoke from the fire and ashes of the 20th century civilization is blown off. Was he correct? Was he a fanatic with a pipe dream? Just ask your parents and grandparents, or better yet, find that Afro wig and iron your dashikis and put on your Afrocentric earrings. Or walk into any school during Black History Month filled with Garvey's colors of red, black, and green, and decide for yourself when you turn on the television and listen to President Obama as you contemplate the Civil Rights Movement and Malcolm X. Will another movement like this ever form and take shape again in America? Has it ever really gone away? The answer is yes and no. It hasn't gone away. It is still with us. The spirit of Marcus Garvey and racial pride and being proud of who we are and where we come from is still with us today. And now, back to Trudy. Ungawa, Black Power.